1 Kings 3. Solomon asked for wisdom. Solomon made an alliance with Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and married his daughter. He brought her to the city of David until he finished building his palace, and the temple of the Lord, and the wall around Jerusalem. The power, however, was still sacrificing at high places, because the temple had not yet been built for the name of the Lord. Solomon showed his love for the Lord by walking according to the instructions given by his father David, except that he offered his sacrifices and burnt incense on the high places. The king went to Gibeon to sacrifice, for that was the most important high place, and Solomon offered 1,000 burnt offerings on the altar. At Gibeon, the Lord appeared at Solomon during the night in a dream, and God asked, "Ask for whatever you want me to give you." Solomon answered, "You have shown great kindness to your servant, my father David, because he was faithful to you and righteous and upright in heart. I have continued this great kindness to him, and I have given him a son to sit on the throne this very day. Now, Lord, my God, you have made your servant king in a place of my father David, but I am only a little child and do not know how to carry out my duties. Your servant is here among the people you have chosen, a great number, too numerous to count or number. So give your servant a discerning heart to govern your people and to be distinguished between right and wrong, for who is able to govern this great people of yours?" The Lord was pleased that Solomon had asked for this. So God said to him, "Since you have asked for this, and not for a long life or a wealth for yourself, as for the death of your enemies, but for discernment and administering justice, I will do what you have asked. I will give you a wise and discerning heart, so that there will be never anyone like you, nor will there ever be. Moreover, I will give you what you have not asked for, both wealth and honor, so that in your lifetime you will have no equal among kings. And if you walk in obedience to me and keep my decrees and commands as David your father did, I will give you a long life." Then Solomon awoke, and then he realized he had been dreaming. He returned to Jerusalem, stood before the ark of the Lord covenant, and sacrificed burnt offerings and fellowship offerings. Then he gave a feast for all his court. Now 2 prostitutes came to the king and stood before him. One of them said, "Pardon me, my lord, the woman and I live in the same house, and I had a baby while she was there with me. The third day after my child was born, this woman also had a baby. This woman had also had a baby. We were alone. There was no one in the house, but there was 2 of us. During the night, this woman's sons died because she laid on him. She put him by her breast and put her dead son by my breast. The next morning, I got up to nurse my son, and he was dead. But when I looked at him closely in the morning light, I saw that it wasn't the son I had born." The other woman said, "No, the living one is my son. The dead one is yours." But the first one insisted, "No, the dead one is yours. The living one is mine." And so they argued before the king. The king said, "This one says, 'My son is alive and your son is dead,' while that one says, 'No, your son is dead and mine is alive.'" Then the king said, "Bring me a sword." So they brought a sword for the king. Then he gave an order, "Cut the living child in 2 and give half to one and half to the other?" The woman whose son was alive was deeply moved out of love for her son and said to the king, "Please, my lord, give her the living baby. Don't kill him." But the other said, "Neither I nor you shall have him. Cut him in 2. Then the king gave his ruling, "Give the living baby to the first woman. Do not kill him. She is the mother." When all Israel heard of the verdict the king had given, they held the king in awe, because they saw that he had wisdom from God to administer justice. Solomon's officials and governance. 1 Kings 4. So King Solomon ruled over Israel, and these were his chief officials. Azariah son of Zadok, the priest of Solomon, had 12 district governors over all Israel who applied provisions for the king and the royal household, each one to provide supplies for 1 month in the year. Solomon's daily provisions. These people of Judah and Israel were as numerous as the sand on the seashore. They ate, they drank, and they were happy. And Solomon ruled over all the kingdoms from the Euphrates River to the land of the Philistines. As far as the border of Egypt, these countries brought tribute and were Solomon's subject all his life. Solomon's daily provisions were 30 cores of the finest flour and 60 cores of meal, and 10 head of stall-fed cattle, 20 of pasture-fed cattle, as 100 sheep and goats, as well as deer, gazelles, roebucks, and choice fowl. For he ruled over all kingdom west of the Euphrates River from Tiphsah to Gaza, and had peace on all sides. During Solomon's lifetime, Judah and Israel from Dan to Beersheba lived in safety, everyone under their own vine and under their own fig tree. Solomon had 4,000 stalls for chariot horses and 12,000 horses. The district governors, each in his month, supplied provisions for King Solomon and all who came to the king's table. They saw to it and that nothing was lacking. They also brought to the proper place their quotas of barley and stall for the chariot horses and the other horses. Solomon's wisdom. God gave Solomon wisdom and very great insight, and a breadth of standing as measureless as the sand on the seashore. Solomon's wisdom was greater than the wisdom of all the people of the east, and greater than all the wisdom of Egypt. He was wiser than anyone else, including Ethan and Azarite, wiser than Calco and Darda, the sons of Malcho, and his fame spread to all the surrounding nations. He spoke 3,000 proverbs, and his sons numbered 1,005. He spoke about plant life, and from the cedar of Lebanon to the hyssop that grows out of the walls. He also spoke about animals and birds, reptiles and fish. From all the nations, people came to listen to Solomon's wisdom, sent by all the kings of the world who had heard of his wisdom. Okay, I'll catch you guys tomorrow.